You know what separates the people who crumble in a storm from those who rise and lead others through it. It's not money, it's not connections, it's not even knowledge, it's state. It's your ability to tap into the inner strength that's already inside you, even when everything outside of you is screaming chaos. Because listen, crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it. And in that moment, when others freeze or flee, true leaders are born. Now let me tell you something straight. You don't need permission to lead. You don't need a title. You need certainty, certainty in yourself. That's what people follow in crisis, not someone with all the answers, but someone who's certain they can find them. Every crisis begins with emotional chaos. People panic, shrink, react. But leadership isn't reaction, it's creation. If you don't command your state, the environment will do it for you. When the world's falling apart, your job is to be the calm in the storm, not by pretending everything's fine, but by choosing to respond rather than react. I always say, emotion is created by motion. So the moment you feel fear creeping in, shift your body, move, breathe, stand taller, change your focus, because what you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what's missing or what's terrifying, you'll lead from fear. But if you focus on what's possible, what you can do, what you must do, you ignite power, and that power is contagious. People don't follow the strongest strategy, they follow the strongest state. In chaos, they need someone who won't fold under pressure. Be that rock. Be that leader, and to do that, your number one mission is to master your inner world. Everything else flows from there. Let's go deeper on the next point, because after you control your state, it's time to create a vision that pulls people forward even in the darkest hour. When everything is falling apart, people look for something to believe in. A leader without a vision is just another person reacting to the storm. But a leader with vision becomes the lighthouse in the chaos, not because they have all the answers, but because they can see beyond the current moment. In crisis, the average person shrinks their vision. They start thinking only about survival, but leaders expand it. They paint a future that's bigger than the fear, louder than the doubt, and more magnetic than the pain. Why? Because people don't move because of fear, they move because of a future that excites them more than the present scares them. When the world is uncertain, your job is not to fake confidence. Your job is to craft a clear, bold direction that others can believe in, even if it's just the next step. That could be a new goal, a purpose bigger than profits, or simply a reminder of what you all stand for. Whatever it is, it must be compelling, and it must come from the heart. A crisis is like a storm. It clouds everything. Your vision cuts through that fog, but it can't be vague. People need something specific to align with, something emotionally powerful. So don't just say, "We'll get through this." Show them why it matters. Tell them what's on the other side. Help them feel the victory in advance. Because when people can see it, they'll fight for it. Tony says, where focus goes, energy flows. If you don't give your team a vision, they'll focus on fear. But if you give them something bold to aim for, their energy shifts from survival to momentum. A compelling vision isn't just a statement, it's a mission. It's a declaration that says, this is who we are, this is where we're going, and nothing, not even this crisis, will stop us. Let's keep going, because once you have the vision, the next key is learning how to communicate it with certainty. Because energy is everything, and your energy is the message. In the middle of a crisis, communication isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. People are overwhelmed, uncertain, and looking for leadership they can trust. And here's the truth. They don't follow the person who knows the most. They follow the one who is most certain. Uncertainty is like poison in a team or a family or a company. It spreads fast, and in the absence of clear, confident communication, people will fill the void with fear. That's why, as a leader, your job is to be the voice of clarity, not confusion. The moment you hesitate, they hesitate. The moment you doubt, they doubt. That doesn't mean you lie. That doesn't mean you pretend to have all the answers. What it means is that you speak with certainty of purpose. You let people know that even if we don't have all the steps yet, we will figure it out. That we're moving forward together. You speak with strength, with calm, with vision, and with total honesty. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make in crisis is going silent. They think silence will avoid panic. But the truth is, silence creates panic. Because when people don't hear from you, they assume the worst. So you have to overcommunicate, not with fluff, with focus. Let them know what's happening. Let them know what's next. Let them know what you expect and what you believe in them. Energy is transferred through communication. If you're scattered, they'll be scattered. If you're focused and grounded, they'll feel safe. The tonality, the pacing, the body language, all of it speaks louder than your words. And in a crisis, people listen more to who you are than what you say. So be the message. Tony always says, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. In crisis, your words must build trust. Your tone must spark certainty, and your presence must make people believe, we're going to make it through this and we'll be stronger for it. Next, let's explore how to use pain as fuel, because the most powerful leaders don't run from pain. They transform it. Every crisis brings pain. Financial pain, emotional pain, relational pain. It shakes your foundations and makes you question everything. But here's the truth that most people miss. Pain is not the enemy, it's the catalyst. What destroys people isn't the pain itself, it's the meaning they attach to it. When Tony Robbins says, life is happening for you, not to you, he's pointing to one of the most powerful mindset shifts a leader can make. If you believe the pain is punishment, you'll shrink. If you believe it's preparation, you'll rise. Leaders who thrive in crisis don't avoid pain, they don't deny it, they use it. They ask better questions. What is this trying to teach me? What can I learn here that will make me stronger, faster, more focused? Because the moment you give your pain a purpose, it stops being something that breaks you and starts becoming something that builds you. Think of every great leader, entrepreneur, or warrior you admire. They've all gone through hell. But they didn't stop there. They turned the fire into fuel. They used their darkest moments to create the clearest breakthroughs. They realized the pain wasn't there to paralyze them, it was there to prepare them. And when you find meaning in your own pain, you gain the power to lead others through theirs. You become relatable, human, real. People don't want perfect leaders, they want authentic ones. When you say, I've felt this too, and I've come out stronger, it gives others the courage to believe they can do the same. But that transformation doesn't happen automatically. You have to choose the meaning, choose to see the lesson, choose to extract the strength, because crisis can either define you or refine you. Pain becomes power the moment you stop running from it and start learning from it. And once you do, no challenge can shake you because you're no longer driven by comfort. You're driven by purpose. Now let's move to the next critical trait of a crisis leader, the ability to stay resourceful even when resources seem scarce. This is where creativity and resilience become your greatest weapons. In a crisis, it's easy to look around and see what's missing: the money, the people, the support, the answers. But let me tell you something that will shift everything. It's never about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness. That's one of Tony Robbins' most powerful teachings, and it separates those who lead from those who wait to be rescued. When things fall apart, most people focus on what they don't have, but great leaders flip the script. They focus on what they do have: their mind, their heart, their grit, their creativity. They ask, how can I make this work? Instead of, why is this happening to me? Resourcefulness is about stepping into a mindset of possibility. It's about turning obstacles into opportunities, problems into puzzles, and setbacks into strategy. And the truth is, some of the most revolutionary ideas, businesses, and movements were born in times of lack, not abundance. When the pressure's on, that's when your real genius gets activated. Think about it. When you had everything figured out, when it was easy, you didn't grow, you coasted. But when your back was against the wall, that's when you found another gear. That's when you became creative, relentless, unstoppable. That's resourcefulness, and it's always available, no matter how bad things get. Tony always says, leaders anticipate, losers react. Resourceful leaders don't just respond to crisis, they prepare for it mentally. They condition themselves to find a way. They stay hungry, curious, and committed to outcomes, not excuses. And when you lead with resourcefulness, you inspire it in others. Your energy becomes a mirror. If you act powerless, your team will follow. But if you show up with solutions, flexibility, and fierce determination, people will rise with you. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. They're not coming. Use what you have, do what you can, think bigger, move faster, find a way, because you don't need more resources, you need to remember who you are when everything's on the line. Now let's move into the final and most important key, the heart of true leadership: serving first, and leading through love, not fear. In times of crisis, fear is everywhere. It's in the news, in conversations, in decisions, and sadly, sometimes it's in leadership. But fear may control people for a moment. Love transforms them forever. That's the difference between manipulation and inspiration. Great leaders don't lead by force, they lead by service. Tony Robbins teaches that the secret to living is giving. And in crisis, the secret to leading is serving. Because when everything is uncertain, people crave one thing: connection. They need to know you see them, you hear them, you care. That you're not just there to protect your position, you're there to protect people. When you serve first, when your decisions come from love, not ego, everything shifts. Trust grows, morale strengthens, and people move not because they're told to, but because they feel called to. Service gives you moral authority. It earns loyalty that no rulebook or strategy ever could. But let's be real, leading with love isn't weak. It's the boldest move you can make. Love means telling the truth even when it's hard. Love means making sacrifices, showing up with empathy, and being human and unshakable at the same time. It means asking, "How can I support you right now?" before asking, "What can you do for me?" And guess what? When you serve others from a genuine place, your own fear fades too, because fear lives in the self. Service puts you into something bigger than yourself, and that's where leadership truly begins. In a world full of noise, stress, and pressure, the leaders who rise are the ones who give more than they take. They show up with heart. They ask how they can help. They model courage, compassion, and contribution. That's how movements are born. That's how families stay strong. That's how teams become tribes. So as we close this out, remember, your state is your power. Your vision is your compass. Your words are your tools. Your pain is your fuel. Your resourcefulness is your superpower. And your heart is your true strength. Lead with love, and you won't just survive the storm, you'll lead others through it. That's what a true leader does. Now, go out there and be that leader.